Good
evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the public. Welcome to East Grinstead Town Council Public Services Committee on Thursday, the 7th of September. Just to make everybody aware that this meeting is being recorded. Apologies, Chair. Good evening, John. Welcome. We only just started. So, that this meeting is recorded and will be uploaded on the Town Council YouTube website probably early next week. The first item on the agenda is public question time. So we have members of the public. You're very welcome, should you wish to speak, to ask a question and not a statement. Leo.
How to not feel forced into things. One of the things I would like to raise is what I see as an increasing upturn in the use of powered scooters. Two of them crossed my path on the way here today on the footpath, and they weren't travelling slowly, and they were driving in tandem. And the thing is that the lad in front seemed to be, shall we say, skillfully manoeuvring it into all sorts of shapes and manoeuvres in front. And it was close to the pavement. And the thing is, they weren't travelling slowly. They were not taking, in my view, due care and attention of Welsh was using the pavement. And that was only at about 20 to 7 this evening. We were travelling into town on the left-hand side of the pavement. So that we have noticed, frankly, I have noticed is on the upturn around the place. And that's what I would like to put down as a marker for somebody to keep.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Clearly now with the schools being back, I think probably we'll do some research with the schools as to how prevalent.
These are not the school children, these are adults.
Oh, adults, oh, yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Personally, I haven't seen that many. I don't know if other councillors have. I was, you know, around time, but
I might have them on the dash.
meticulous in your records.
I try.
Okay, point noted. Thank you for that, and we'll note that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I suppose my question is mainly directed to Inspector Derrick. Good evening.
Could you just say who you are?
Yeah, apologies. My name's Dave Steele. I'm a lifelong East Grinstead resident, and I live on Blount Avenue, back onto the Worth Way in East Grinstead. If you don't mind, just because I heard you mention YouTube, I'm not going to go into any more detail about my other hat. I'm hoping you can't see me, Inspector, because I really feel horribly underdressed. I said to the wife, do you think I'll be okay? She said yes, and clearly we got it wrong. So apologies to everybody. My question relates is twofold, really. Firstly, it's fairly generic and relates to, I guess, a visible police presence in East Grinstead, or in my humble opinion, a lack thereof. I'm no stranger to cuts in policing budgets, which have been scathing over the last 10 to 15 years, and I'm very, very familiar with limitations on budgets. That said, and whilst I freely admit I don't walk the streets of East Grinstead on a daily basis, I don't see any kind of visible police presence in the town, whether that's uniformed police officers, response vehicles, PCSOs. And I'm sure I'm wrong to some extent, but just from a general point of view, I would dearly love to see more. And it leads on to my second point, which relates to what I think is a huge increase, and it won't be just in East Grinstead. I'm sure it's a kind of national problem, but in low-level criminality, drug taking, and antisocial behaviour. Specifically, because I emailed Steve about an issue that we've been having, East Grinstead car park, and more specifically, sorry, apologies, East Grinstead station car park, and more specifically the upper deck or the top tier, which isn't really used anymore because of the cuts in train services and fewer commuters. It's just become a haven for youths. We see dangerous driving, we see drug taking, drinking, antisocial behaviour. Also along the Worth Way, we see a massive problem with electric scooters, mopeds, They fly down there at a horrendous rate of knots, where people are quite often not particularly mobile or elderly, walk their dogs, and it really is, in my opinion, a public hazard, I guess. I've reported several times via 111 and online portals such behaviour. We don't see a response. That is my honest view.
Can I just say that Inspector Derrick is on the agenda this evening. I'm sure he's noted your points. I mean, we have previously forwarded your information.
Then I apologise.
Councillor, no, not at all. I'm just trying to reassure you that Inspector Derrick is on fairly shortly.
Fantastic.
Is that okay?
I will hold my peace. That's really all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Thank you. I've got those notes, and I've got the answers for them whenever you'll be.
Okay, thank you. We'll come on, Inspector, very soon. Agenda item 1, Town Clerk, apologies for absence, please.
We have apologies from Councillor Barnett and Councillor Hughes.
Thank you. Can I ask for that to be noted by committee, please?
We have substitution.
And one substitution, which is Councillor Gibbs for Councillor Barnett. Thank you for substituting. Can I just take a quick vote for approval of that, please?
You can't vote until that vote's been taken.
You're in, Councillor
Now you're
Gibbs.
good. Now you're good.
Thank you very much.
I'm officially here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Agenda item 2 is to receive the minutes of the meeting held on the 1st of June, which was obviously quite a long meeting. So it's really for accuracy. So unless anybody's got any points from those minutes, can I ask for a vote to approve those minutes, please? All those in favour?
I think it's carried.
Thank you.
It's fine.
Just sign it, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that, committee. Chairman, agenda item 3, Chairman's update. A few points. I'll be brief, but there are quite a few points here. First of all, I'd like to say that West Sussex County Council Highways have made fantastic progress in the last 3 months since our meeting on the 1st of June, with particularly road resurfacing, but pothole works as well. But an incredible change around, particularly in the last week. But I would like to say that new road surfacing at Moat Road, Cranston Road, St Agnes Road, Portland Road, and St Gill Road. If the Bell and Gibson know any more roads, I'm sure there might be some. But it's been a fantastic summer programme, and it's still ongoing as we speak. Hopefully, Heathcote Drive was supposed to be done this week, but I'm sure hopefully will be done soon. Even great to receive from me because it's right in my wall, so that would be fantastic. But
Heathcote Drive needs a complete resurfacing, and not the sort of tarmac plus layer of chip-ins which we've seen on so many other.
So very grateful thanks to county councillors and I know Councillor DeBell at the last meeting must have had a word, so it's greatly appreciated. With that, obviously in the last week in the news we had the RAC concrete news that started, I think it was last Thursday night on Newsnight at 11 o'clock, and sent my alarm bells ringing. So I personally contacted one of my close colleagues who works in one of the schools. So I know the situation is sort of national and changing. But effectively, this is my statement, having spoken with one of the local schools, I have been reassured that there are no schools in Springstead affected by RAC. This was last weekend. There would appear to be only one in West Sussex, which is in Horsham. We don't know about other buildings at this time, including building owners will be undertaking their own assessments. The police have been asked to do the old police station assessment over the road. And the status of the council's buildings, the town council's buildings, will be reported through the AMT committee at this time next week. but I know that the town clerk and her team are very much on the case. So initially, that's the situation with RAC, which is good news. I know that there's ongoing probably surveys. Councillor Gibson, would you like to make any other elaborations?
Well, if I could just add to that, just a point of information is that academy schools are responsible for their own surveys. So rather than direct grants for schools. So just a note of caution on that. From memory, the only one I can think of is Hampstead Park. But I don't know.
I spoke with a cabinet member, and she says that the current check is that there are none in our area.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, you know, we reacted from Thursday night just to say it comes through this committee. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're clearly closely monitoring it. It's a you know, it's a conveyor belt that's moving, but initially very reassured, you know, with the county council situation with the schools, which is good news compared to the way I was feeling maybe on Friday morning. So that's good. I've had notification that the COVID booster programme in East Grinstead by ABC will be at the rugby club again on the 11th, 12th, 13th of October, 18th, 19th, 20th of October, and 25, 26, 27th of October from 9 AM until 6 PM. Bookings through their ABC website opens, I believe, on the 18th of September. Appointment only, please. And it's just COVID booster, not flu jabs. And I believe it's 65 and over, plus other cohorts, carers and vulnerable that were in that school anyway. So that's the information I've got. Also, men's prostate testing by the East Grinstead Lions Club is at East Court Meridian Hall on Saturday, the 11th of November, all day, 1,000 spots available. Again, please book online through the Lions organisation. There's lots of information on Facebook that they've been doing, and it's very quick and very easy. So please encourage anybody you know to do that. I think that's basically it. And there are other items on the agenda, but unless anybody's got any questions for me on that, can't really accept questions, but we can do it offline or outside the meeting. Okay. Item 4, members' declarations of interest, please. Councillor.
I've got to declare that I'm a member of West Sussex County Council for the item when we're talking later on about that. I'm also a member of the Sussex District Council as well volunteer.
Sure. Okay. Noted. Thank you very much. Okay. So agenda item 5 is police matters. So very warm welcome, Inspector Derek. Thank you again for being with us. You were in June, so we really appreciate it. Hopefully the line's all right. You can hear us and we can hear you. So you've obviously heard the member of the public about his points. So really it's over to you. Anything you'd like to relay to us, Inspector? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm really promised the next time I do this meeting, I'm going to do my best to be there in person because this technology is really poor. I'm only getting several words in, so I hope you can hear me clearly. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to speak, and I've got some short notes that I'm going to print to you. I will come to the car park toward the end because I've got a proper live update for you. I hope it will be good for the member of the public. The first thing I want to say that East Grinstead remains a really low crime area of Sussex, and definitely in national charts it's also really low and a really nice place to live, but you all know that, I would guess. So for myself as a police inspector for neighbourhood policing, the tasks are not as harsh as my colleagues that surround me and to going towards London. So East Grinstead is relatively low in crime here. the updates that I've got for you, really, the first thing I want to speak about, I wasn't going to mention it, but as the member of the public mentioned it, is austerity measures that have taken place over the last decade are a fact for policing now. And we can talk about them for the next 10 years, but it won't resolve any problems you have in East Grinstead. So what we do is specifically target problems that are identified by members of the public rather than just do aimless patrols. So I'm really, really sorry, and I think it's really poor sometimes if you have members of the public that say they can't see or don't see police officers or PCSOs because they are there, but it's not going to take a lot of missing opportunities to see them. You won't believe me or not, but there are actually 6 police officers and PCSOs in East Grinstead tonight. They are in fact on that car park roof. An easy answer for me is to say to you, the car park is owned by Network Rail, and it's the responsibility of British Transport Police to police that car park. It's not likely within the jurisdiction of Sussex Police, but actually that doesn't help East Grinstead residents. It doesn't help us council. So I've taken the following actions. I've written to one of the commanders in British Transport Police and asked for his assistance. I've told him that we will police the car park because being honest with you, you'll never see British Transport Police officer in that car park when you need them. Now, the likelihood of us ever catching one of those cars doing something is really, really remote. So what I've done is the British Transport Police have written to Network Rail because there is a camera that covers the car park. So what we're going to do is record the details of the people that are causing nuisance in their cars. Sussex Police visit them home and issue with a 59 warning saying with these are they just to get in the car parks or neighbouring car park, because actually what's quite common in policing is actually we from this car park and they'll just find somewhere else really close by to do what they do. So I'm really sorry about problems in the car park and the issues. We do target them, we do take them seriously, and as I said, police are there now actually as we speak. Sergeant Johnson is there with his team. So we're going to do that on behalf of British Transport Police with the car park. We continue to target areas in East Grinstead, and I'm really pleased to say we have a really good relationship with the clerk. June's in the room, and we respond to her needs and anything she sends to us relatively quickly. We've done so at the hospital with antisocial behaviour there. We've done so with street drinkers that are causing noise, and we've worked really close with Mid Sussex District Council partners when we've written some information so we can target specific individuals. Actually, whilst the people causing the nuisance through drinking specific on this concrete block in the centre, they're actually not committing any serious crime. Police as and when they do it, we can just ask them to leave. But what we've done with the council partners, identify individuals, written to them, warn them, and police are actually targeting them as soon as they can. But notwithstanding that, respond to diligence-led activity and reports that we get from these individuals are relatively low, I must say, but we've not obeyed. So yes, that's the car park, hospital, concrete. I would like to say is, I know it's really hard for members of the public when they don't see police officers, but actually what I want to achieve, we're doing really well, all clocks in Mid Sussex, is that we respond to specific incidents, issues, and we target that to help the town really. And the car park is a good example of that. And hopefully within a few weeks, we'll see some fruit of what we're doing in that car park. I don't have more of an update really. I wish I could talk to you about some serious crime trends and patterns. Obviously, antisocial behaviour and drug use in specific areas. East Grinstead are no stranger to that, just like most towns. And we've done some directed patrol activities, specifically around, I can't remember, I think it's toilets on King's Road or King Avenue. And I know you had to close one of those toilets, which is a shame because of paraphernalia left there. But in the recent weeks, we specifically gone certain times, I think it was 45, to make sure we move people on. So we are targeting what you ask us to, and we respond to it really quickly. She actually sent me the car park letter about 5 days ago, and within 5 days, we got agreement with British Transport, what they will do with Network Rail, their CV is not free to go and visit, it belongs to Transport, please. And we're going to identify the cars and target them. So that's all I've say. I'm happy to see questions from anybody in the room, and of course I'm happy to do and target anything identified on the clock.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll come to Councillors in a minute, but thank you for responding so promptly to the car park. Yeah, that's a great example of how, you know, we as a town council respond through yourself, Councillor Eddie, and Town Clerk, and you, Inspector Derrick. So that's great, and tonight good timing that meeting. So that's great. And I know technically you could have said it's British Transport Police, nothing to do with us, but you haven't. So you've been proactive and working to find, you know, hopefully a solution and a sort of short-term fix. Is there any update with this system, with the retail reporting system at all? I do get some reports on that about the numbers participating.
I mean, yeah, I'm not heavily, massively involved in it. I was sat with Mandy Cunningham this morning talking about it. The uptake is really good. She's doing some proactive work with people that are not uptaking it, and also people that are registered, not using the system. So the reports are coming in really good. It's early days to look at certain towns to see how much has been reported and what's happening with those reports, but it's certainly our agenda. But the uptake has been really good. The force as a whole are really pleased to take of it, and the reporting systems, the level of reports that we're getting from it. So it's positive.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Derek. The thing is, we're getting report, and I do appreciate that the work that you guys do. I think we all do the work that you guys do. Replacing a full-time police force all over the town 24 hours a day, which is what it really needs, and every town does. I'm sure you agree. I won't ask you to. But the work that your guys do, we very much appreciate. But there's three main issues. Obviously, one is drug taking all over the town. In fact, if we walk out this door tonight, we'll probably get stoned walking to the car. And the second thing is, I'm regularly, as a West Sussex County Councillor, getting complaints about speeding. Speeding through the town and speeding in silly little places where you wouldn't expect, but people are very concerned about their kids and they're driving through gardens. There are a lot of numpties out there that either they don't know or they don't care about speed limits. And there's one other issue that I don't know if it's been raised, probably has with the town clerk.
Councillor,
that
could
is.
you just speak towards
Oh,
this?
sorry.
I'm talking to you up there.
I'm sorry, mate. No, one of the things is that there's motorcycling through the woods in the evening, and it's whilst I've been a kid myself, and I've been a bit of a mod years ago. That shows you how old. And we used to love riding motorbikes and scooters and everything, but they tend to go through the woods all through the night. And when you talk to residents up there, they're pretty fed up with it. So
is this Ashflatwood?
Yeah, if somebody could actually, I think it's behind the actual woods. Because I went and talked to some of the residents up there on the new estate, and they said that they think that they're out there. If they could just be discouraged from that, you know, boys will be boys and all the rest of it, you know, but if they could be discouraged from that, or at least not doing it through the flaming night till about 10:30, 11 o'clock time, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Any councillors?
I'll take it as an action. If I can just ask, Julie is present. If I can receive an email of that location and when it happens, because actually I don't have any staff that can do that with motorbikes, but we can do with our roads policing units. They have motorbike staff and scramblers, and it can actually go into the wood to them and make the car park issue. Actually, relatively what crime they're committing by going into the woods, I'm not sure. But if it's disorder and time of night, like the car park, we can issue them with Section 59 warnings. It's really, really impactful, because the warning says we're going to seize this next time we see you. and it really works. So if I can just give the example for the car park, as soon as we identify these cars, we will go to the home address, issue them with the warning, and I can almost 90% say they won't go back there because they don't want to lose their car. We'll do the same thing with the scrambler. If somebody just sends the note of exactly where it is, we'll react to it as quick as we can.
That's good news.
Okay, thank you. And councillors, any other comments? Sasha, would you just like to do thanks to Inspector Derek?
I would do. Thank you, Inspector Derek, for your time today and all your useful comments and feedback. We'll obviously be coming back to you for further thoughts and hope to see you in 3D in real life.
Thank you. Nice to see you all. Have a good evening.
Thanks for responding so quickly and working with the town clerk. Really appreciate it. Keep it going. Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks,
Thank you
Dave.
Thank you
very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Chair, apologies, this might be a good moment for me to excuse myself. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your evening.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Okay, agenda item 6 is Queen Victoria Hospital update. Thank you, Town Clerk, for the written report. As you can see, councillors, we were hoping for one of the executives to come in, but you will appreciate they're in a state of flux at the moment. So we have, I'm discussing with the Town Clerk before this meeting, and our next meeting is on the 30th of November. So I'm hoping that the new chief executive might be Scottish or half Scottish, and he will come in. We will warmly invite him in to hopefully he can make his introductions and have a proper session then. So it wouldn't be fair to get him in without his feet under the table. So we'll do that. As you can see, you know, there's a lot going on at Queen Victoria Hospital that don't really want to get into the ins and outs at the moment. You know, once the dust has settled and we see it in November, I think that will be the time to do some scrutiny. But thank you, Town Clerk. And I mean, councillors, I'm happy to take questions. Or the Town Clerk is much more involved than I am with Queen Victoria Hospital. But thank you, Town Clerk, again for that. So can I just ask for that report to be noted, please?
Noted.
Thank you. Agenda item 7 is community services update, and we are joined by Alice Fletcher. Thank you very much, Alice. So over to you. Thank you for your very comprehensive report. If you'd like to just sort of briefly take us through it.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. So my first point was about youth, and I think everyone knows now about the Sussex Club for Young People that have collapsed, which has left us really lacking in provision for teenagers in town, more so than we were. I'm speaking to different youth workers to try and see if we can get that back up and running again. And I know Mid Sussex are looking at this on a district level as well, because it's left the whole county quite empty for youth provision for teenagers. But as we know, they're such a hard group to engage with. Mid Sussex District Council did put on their annual Skate Fest. Not a single teenager turned up. There were lots of under 10s attending, and it was a very enjoyable event, but the teenagers didn't turn up, so it's very difficult to try and engage them. So this October half term, I'm putting on something new with Actively Safe. We'll be delivering a workshop for what do we call it? Personal safety and self-defence workshop's just been advertised today and has been sent round to Imberhorn and Sackville, so hopefully that'll go out in their parent mails, and we'll be getting social media out on that as well. And it's a workshop just to help teenagers understand about situational awareness, confidence, how to de-escalate situations, so perhaps appropriate with antisocial issues that are going on, but also it's just a general kind of awareness that's, you know, you probably did when you were at school as well, and just something to do in the half term that's free from the town council as well. That's something that we're putting on. Moving on to SID then. So I'm sure you're aware we've purchased the second SID from the S106 money. So we have 2 SIDs with 2 solar panels, which is excellent because it was taking us taking time every 7 to 10 days to have to change the battery. So the solar panels are fantastic. And we are actually going through permissions with West Sussex to get them agreed on what lampposts. So currently we only have one up on Brooklands Way. I put the data in here for Brooklands Way and for Linfield Road. If you want to have a look at that. At the moment, it's just going to here and to Leo and Speedwatch. Perhaps after we've got a bit more data, we can collate it and take it elsewhere. So yeah, I'll be reporting back on that when we've got agreed locations. I've put in the request for Parent High Drive, Dunnings Road, Linfield Road and Brooklands Way. If there's any other locations that are kind of, you think are key locations, do let me know. We can try and get those roads agreed as well. Cranston Road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Forward down road.
Yeah. Is that from the
A
front?
lot of complaints about
Lots.
We can only place it in our parish, but there is obviously a stretch of Polly Down Road that is in our parish.
Yeah.
Straightest
Yeah.
piece of road.
I don't think you need to, if you want, for the simple reason that the planning committee discussed an application on Monday evening that showed that it was 40 miles an hour and 38 in the other direction. That was in the data presented.
For Crawley Down Road, isn't it?
Crawley Down
Okay.
Road. In fact, it's a 30 mile an hour limit, is neither here nor there. So what it needs is a van that picks people up.
Okay.
Chairman, before we move on from Sid, can I just go back to last meeting? It was requested that we looked into ANPR. We did look into it. We spoke with the Speedwatch coordinator for the Sussex Police and Stephen O'Connell, who works with Leo and Frank as well. And we were advised that the only way that we can enforce would be to have a camera. And even then, it may not be enforceable by Sussex Police. It would have rocketed the cost. So we went ahead with the purchase of the same spec as we currently have. So it doesn't have ANPR, which I know was requested, but it just wasn't. Sussex Police were not going to support it, and they said that's their policy across the county. The purpose of the camera is for education, not for punishment. And therefore it is about trying to encourage people to do the right thing. So that was where we got to.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Zoe.
Can I just add a point to that ANPR point, that one of the key things in the West Sussex Transport Plan, a big document that I decided not to inflict upon everybody else, is that there is an issue about that they have an objective to stop speeding on rat runs through affecting the behaviour of drivers, and it's how they go about that. Now, I ran a written question at the County Council in July, just to ask them how they were doing that, and whether or not speed cameras with ANPR would feature within that, with the intention of obviously that it would be something that would be county-wide funded. I got a nonsense of an answer back which says yes, we're thinking about it, but I will continue to press that, because I hear what the clerk's saying about, you know, sort of when the little sign comes up and tells you that you're doing 40. But if you've got the registration underneath, whether or not you do anything with that information, actually does make you think a bit more.
Yeah, I understand. All right, okay, good point, thank you. Sorry, Alice.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we have received requests for it to go back onto Linfield Road as well, as residents have said since it's gone from there, they've noticed the speeding has gone back up again. So yeah, just to let you know, we are working on getting those both up. Moving on, IT issues, I've just raised that here so that you know that a proposal for an upgraded system pack is going to be going to FMGP, so it's been causing a lot of frustration for my team.
Yeah, sure.
DISC was briefly mentioned there. I have put some stats in here. East Grinstead is lagging behind in terms of sign up and usage, so we are trying to work on that. I know EGBA are trying to get their members signed up as well. Mandy Cunningham is working on that, and Donna Shaw from Mid Sussex with the antisocial behaviour, we're trying to get people signing up on that. Because Pubwatch have been mentioning they've been having ASB issues as well, so we're trying to get them to log their issues on there, so it's all recorded. Our community desk in the library is always nice and busy, seeing lots of range of different requests. So yes, it's lovely and varied and a great way to keep engaged with the local residents. St Barnabas Hall, we are getting ready. I'm not sure if that should have gone to A&T rather than.
Yeah, we understand. Obviously, you
Public
split
services,
your
yeah.
portfolio between
Yeah,
A&T.
but just so you know, we
Yeah.
are getting higher
sure.
interested,
Right.
so
Yeah, thank you.
if there's anyone who's inquiring about using the hall, just pass them over to me, please. The farmers market is getting nice and busy, which is good. Popped up there today, it was all going well, and we've just had a new fruit and veg market confirm they're going to come and join the market, so that's
Brilliant.
good.
Fantastic. With St Barnabas, thank you for, again, great report. The stats on the SID data,
Yeah.
incredible. 100,000 cars logged in.
Yeah,
8 weeks or
surprisingly
something.
busy.
I was staggered.
Yeah,
I was staggered by the volume
yeah,
in both directions.
yeah,
Quite incredible.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, if you look at the frequency of the actual median speeds and stuff, it's not as bad as I was expecting. I've got to say, I mean, clearly you get.
yeah, yeah, I do agree with that. I mean,
it
it feels bad, but looking at the data, it's not as bad as I think
No.
some people feel it is.
Well, but
Yeah.
just to have that, when you see the data, it's very impressive to provide that. With St Barnabas, just a final one, could that possibly be a venue for a future youth provision?
I would hope so.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would hope so.
I mean, obviously the OTC are already down in Dunnings anyway, but, and we've got the middle school,
Yeah.
but potentially.
It's always been the intention,
Yeah.
and one of
just-
the residents did approach us and say they were interested, but I don't know whether they've actually taken that any further at the moment. So that's always been the idea, is to get a local youth club to run out of
Yeah.
there, so.
Yeah.
If I could though, but because Alice knows this, we've got no problems with the what's it called, the gym. We've got no problems using that room.
The
That's
King
not-
Centre.
Yeah, the King Centre.
Yeah, yeah, we'd
We've
love
got
to
no
keep
problems at
using
the
that
moment
because it's
using the
such a
King
great
Centre.
location.
It's the actual, it's not, the location's not the problem. It's providing the people to actually
Yeah,
do the thing
Yeah.
with us.
but hopefully we can move towards having
Absolutely.
something in both locations would be like
That'd be great.
ideal.
Perfect, yeah, great, okay. Any other questions for Alice?
Would you okay, ask? Would that be all right?
Of course it would.
Yeah, no, thanks, Alice. It's great. Can I ask two questions? One, what happens to this data? Where does it go?
It comes here.
And what happens then?
If you want to take it any further, we can talk about where to go. I think we need to collate a few more months' worth of solid data before we perhaps present it to any police or further Speedwatch, and Speedwatch do have data, but I would probably speak to Leo about how to move forward and where to present it to.
Okay, so we have Dunnings, Brookland and Lingfield Road.
At the moment, yeah.
Well, was there Heathcote, Hurst Farm Road as well, at some point
There was, yes.
as well? So
Yeah, so I mean, I've got all this for all the particular time slots, but I could try and collate it into looking at them all together, so we can see which one's worse and compare like that, which is, if we end up having to get SIDS in set locations, we need that data to work out which would be the right
Yeah,
place
the
anyway.
purpose of the SID and collating the data is that it builds a picture, and
Yeah.
so Alice will either come back to committee, or committee can, through having seen the data, make their own requests, that we then approach the county council and we talk about, if we feel there's a need, we talk about a permanent speed calming measures in these particular roads if we feel there is a particular problem. Sometimes the problems are transient, we know that. Sometimes this is the first step of building a huge picture. So the idea is just to move around, road education. We will go back to the hotspots based on recommendations from other committee members, other councillors, members of the public, whoever it is, through the Speedwatch team, obviously Leo and Frank. So we will then go back, and if we are seeing a significant problem, that is when we then start talking with the county councillors, and we start talking with the officers of the county about what has to be done in those particular sites. That's the whole purpose of SID, from the data collection point of view, if
Yeah.
that helps.
no, that's great, thank you. I think actually, I wasn't surprised at the numbers, but I'm still shocked, actually, if I'm honest. Because they're residential areas
Yeah.
and, 71, 78 miles an hour.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's only one instance, but it only takes one instance and we've lost somebody's life,
Yeah.
potentially. Is there any sort of weight in contacting Sussex Safer Road Partnership as well, so that this, giving them that data will help them build a picture of what's going on in East Grinstead as well, perhaps. But that's just a thought. No, thank you.
Yeah, that's
A couple of things that you might be interested in, Steve. First of all, there's an initiative going around at the moment. It's being publicised everywhere. You might have seen it. Was it 20s fast enough or something like that?
20s plenty.
And they're trying to create this initiative to actually bring speeds down from 30 to 20 all over the place, because the fact that traffic cars are that much faster nowadays anyway, and you get young people and add that to a car, and you've got a dangerous thing. But all the way across Sussex, I can tell you, I'm sure that Ian will say the same thing. All the way across Sussex, we're seeing reports of people speeding and doing stupid things in the cars. It's happening all over our town, and the SIDS are brilliant, actually, making people aware.
Oh, no, absolutely. You can't do anything about data as well. So, as you know, yes.
Does the SID pick up any speeding cyclists at all?
Don't think so.
Well, that's fine, because it's not illegal.
I have seen one or two.
I'm not sure.
Or is it just, yeah?
It doesn't specify on the data that comes through.
Yeah, if something's that fast on the road, whether it be a cyclist, an e-scooter or a car.
Yeah.
I was wondering if
Motorcycle,
e-scooters
surely
would
it
be recorded, but
Yeah.
they only seem to be on the
People try and read it as well.
Okay. All right, that's great. Excellent report, Alice. Thank you. Great work. Thank you. Great work. Sorry, Councillor Gibson.
Just a couple of points. Firstly, just to check that you're aware the Worth Parish Council acquired Drew, the worker, and also the purple bus.
The purple bus was Skip.
Yes,
what's the purple
yes, but
bus?
it is now belongs to Worth Parish
The
Council.
physical bus.
The physical bus.
Right, okay. I didn't know that, thank you.
Yes, which is remarkable. So it's amazing what you can do without a business plan. It would be quite nice if others were interested in hiring it off Worth Parish Council so that they can cover the cost. Sorry, I'll declare that I'm a member of Worth Parish Council.
So is it worth owning?
Yes, yeah, they were given it. Remarkably, at least that's the story which I've had, and you never look a gift house and the gift horse in the mouth, do you? But yes, very interesting on the stats for the speed cameras. Sort of, well, is it available as a, presumably does it come in a common linked file or something like that, so you could search it?
Well, not really. The software is all on a thing on my laptop, and there's so much data in there, so I've just pulled off a kind of a summary. But getting that all off, I've tried exporting it to Excel and all sorts, and it just does this horrific data dump. So I haven't quite worked out how, but I do have data coming out of my ears. So,
yes. Theoretically, a passerby could Bluetooth to it and actually steal the data off it. I'm sorry, I'm very anal about this, Mr. Chairman, but I did actually go to a briefing with Asher's Wood. Sorry, okay, right, I'll pass it back. Oh, sorry, St Barnabas Hall, just in case you hadn't seen it, the S106 application was signed off.
Okay, I didn't know that, thank you.
Thank you, that's what you were alluding to earlier on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Alice. Thanks for the report.
Thank you very much.
You don't have to stay. You can enjoy your evening now. Thank you. Can I just ask for Alice's report to be noted, please, committee, if that's right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Agenda item 8 is pharmacies. Again, this is just for noting another update. We had this on the agenda in June. It's a moving conveyor belt. Everything we reported in June is happening and happened, i.e. the Lloyd's pharmacies are being sold and taken over. Unfortunately, the Lloyd's in Sainsbury's closed on the 13th of June. The Boots in Waitrose, again, looks like it's definitely going to be closing, which is a shame. But the good news is that the Moatfield Lloyds has been effectively taken over, and that legally completes on the 14th of September as the town clerk reports. But I believe that the clinical lead pharmacist, Mary, who used to be at Lloyds at Moatfield, is now moved to the Day Lewis pharmacy, which is good news because she's very, very good. She's the lead pharmacist for the whole of the area, including the outlying parishes as well. So that's good news. So really, that's an update, and we'll continue obviously to keep close tabs on that. So if I could ask the committee just to note that, unless there are any questions. Thank you. Agenda item 8, similar subject, coming on to the modality partnership. Again, obviously, we had a very heavy meeting in June to discuss this. You can see that the plan that they issued in July. So we're closely tracking this. There's still a lot of activity on social media. There still seems to be issues, fairly serious issues at the Crawley Down surgery. Councillor Gibbs, I don't know if you know any more than
I can absolutely confirm that, Chairman.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
But it seems to be that surgery out of the 3 in this area that are run by modality, they have a contract for, is the worst affected.
I understand that nurse has left, which is.
In terms of, yeah, I mean, I picked that up on social media, but you know, so and obviously they're splitting the responsibility between staff between all 3, mixing and matching between 3 surgeries. So I don't know if it's
you know, my advice to you is to write and invite the Director of Primary Healthcare in the Sussex Integrated Care System, Gary Money, to come and to basically to answer the questions here about the appalling service that our residents are facing here. He is the man who is responsible for delivery of primary healthcare. And yes, we are seeing also the pharmacies problem. And sometimes it's just, I know the Crawley Down pharmacy has also been taken over, and they've gone from, I think, you know, sort of a just in time case, you know, sort of just in case to just in time, and maybe not at all. So we've gone from people being able to go in and fairly easily pick things up to having to wait until a prescription is filled, which of course then causes lots of queues and all the rest of it. So there is great unhappiness in Crawley Down. And that appeared to, I mean, there were some people, I attended the Crawley Down version of that. I've got an observation about the way that presentation was received. Visually, it was right. The explanation which was made is that Crawley Down has 4 full-time equivalents, but the audience did not understand that was made up of 13 doctors who may or may not be working and may or may not be actually anywhere near Crawley Down, as in Hull and things like that. So I think there's a perception problem that what they want to say is we've got this manpower, but in actual fact, you know, sort of the old model of having the doctor working in the building is just not there. Yeah, it's a nationwide problem apparently, and it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I think we're all aware of the general situation. So really from this committee's point of view, you know, we're very much on the case. You know, we've obviously, you know, we had our MP come to the last meeting. I know that she's been dealing with schools issues at the moment rather than this, but I mean, we will go back to the town clerk. I know we've been trying to get the integrated care board people. Town clerk, I don't know if you want to come in and, you know, just briefly say what you've been trying to pin them down.
We had a lady turn up at the last meeting who was from the ICB, Louise, I forget her surname, and she said that yes, she would get somebody at this next meeting to come and talk from the ICB with regards to this point of view. Despite my chasing emails, nobody's here and nobody's confirmed that they would come, and I will keep on because yes, whether it be Mr. Money, he's the ICB, is he? Gary
Yes, he's
Money, whether it
Operations
be
Director.
Mr. Money or whether it be somebody else from the ICB, I mean, we will keep pushing. I am quite lucky in that through the hospital, I do seem to get a little bit of an in to the ICB. So next time we have someone attend a governance meeting, I might just sabotage the meeting and hijack it a bit and say, we need someone to come here, because they're just not responding. But they need to, and we obviously not just the local issue of GPs, although this is one of their main focuses for this year, was to improve access to the practices. We still haven't had any direct liaison with the ICB, despite the fact that they said that once they had visited all of the borough and district councils, they would then have a programme to engage with the parishes and towns, and they have not. So we will keep pushing.
Okay, so, all right, so thank you, Councillor Gibson, that will be a priority. We pledged in June to work with modality, our MP, and we are doing that, we'll continue to do that, but we still have a responsibility to sort of raise public concerns and, where there are still issues, areas to be resolved. And, one is staffing, I think, and two is systems and procedures. And we know that modality introduced new systems and procedures that are probably different from, let's say, Moatfield surgery. How efficient they are, we'll have to directly compare. But the other one is staffing. So we'll go back to modality as well to say how are they, because they said they're obviously going to try and recruit over the summer. So now is the time to say, how's the recruitment going? What have you got? Can you confirm your numbers for GPs, for nurses, for pharmacists, for backroom staff, for all of that stuff, and so that we can get a handle on it. But the integrated care book, they've been going well over a year now, and then you guys, we've got a name. Thank you, Councillor Gibson, for that. So we'll target him, and I think we'll brief our MP as well as to the review of the last 3 months from when she attended in June, and report back when we meet again in November. Unless there are no questions, can I just ask for that report to be noted?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 10, West Sussex Highways. Obviously, I touched on it in my chairman's update. Very excellent progress since in the last 3 months. I asked Councillor Gibson, because you weren't at the last meeting, because you were ill. You were very ill, but you're here now. So you very kindly agreed just to give maybe just a brief update as to where the county council are. Town clerk's done a very comprehensive report. You've issued a briefing note, which I think Councillor Bell had issued earlier in the summer, but it's a very detailed briefing note, which is excellent. So over to you, Councillor Gibson.
I circulated, if you like, the background reading. Really, I just want to make sure that everyone had an appreciation of the scale of the activity in West Sussex. I am a bit reticent about the lower level councils getting into. I mean, there's enthusiasm I know across the area, reflecting just the way that the performance has been so poor at the start of this year. But I'm very reticent about lower level councils taking the lead in the delivery of that. But that aside, I've tried to put this into a sort of sway where it gets more and more strategic, if that makes sense. So hopefully that. So I'm going to start with potholes, the responsive maintenance programme. The good news is that 70% of the A roads and 68% of BC roads are in good condition. But I guess that means that 30% aren't and 32% aren't. And the headline figure is that the current known defects would take 14 years to clear at the rate of that, which isn't a particularly good one. You all know that, right, if you spot a pothole, you report it on the West Sussex webpage. It's dead easy. If you've got a smart camera, you do it there and then. I've reported loads and loads of them. And the county commits to, if you like, a schedule of repairs, which it has to do. I think it has to produce, sort of provide one. It varies from councils to councils. But potholes greater than 100 mil deep and 150 mil wide, which I think is 4 inches by 6 inches in old money.
4 inches.
Yeah, okay. Within 5 working days. right, okay? Potholes between 40 mil and 100 mil deep and 100 mil, sorry, I'll say that again, between 40 and 100 and 150 mil wide on all roads within 28 days. That's where the problem starts to come in, because as you know, it might well be, you know, sort of 100 mils deep on the, you know, sort of, or 19, you know, and then it's going to get bigger. And they ignore anything less than 40 mil. And of course, I always tick the box that says it's equivalent to a Coke tin in that, and I think that the numbers are extraordinary. Usually in a year, they do 16,000 potholes across the county, right? They had 22,000 reported in the first 5 months of this year. Reported. Right, reported. Right, okay. Now, that led to the cut and fill repairs being abandoned, and the 28-day criteria was abandoned, as it was just unable to increase the capacity across to do it. Right, and that was just simply a demand across the UK. There weren't enough teams. The cost, right, so what you had was tarmac being chucked into a hole and rolled. The good news is that reduced the cost from £160 to £80 per pothole. I focused on the worst ones, and the worst ones, there was an absolute killer, which was on the Turners Hill Road near the Duke's Head, which took out, I don't know, multiple cars lost 2 tyres on it. Yeah, I sat on the bus going across it today, and the bus bounced everywhere as I went across it. It is still a problem. It's all, it's the ironwork has sunk as well as a pothole formed. And the other one was the Inbourne Lane width restriction, which eventually was fixed on a 2-hour emergency after much ringing around and all the rest of it. There's an interesting thing happened in that the number of claims, as you might imagine, has rocketed upwards. They're trying to handle at the moment 2,500 claims. In loose terms, 60% of claims are found valid. People have the documentation to prove it, and the average payout is £400. That is giving the county a £600 bill.
600.
Sorry, 600,000. 600,000. Councillor de Bell will confirm that there is a very interesting tool called Earthlight, which I'm sure that you've glummed all over. Earthlight.
I haven't actually.
I meant to bring it, but I don't know. I thought if you want a demonstration, I'll bring it on another evening. Right? It runs very well on the county council laptop, and you can access it with a password from outside as well. So if people are interested, but that tells you the location of things like every gully and what their cleansing cycle is, where in the cleansing cycle they are. And it is 1 year on main roads, 4 years otherwise, which is why the gully on Park Road, Heathcote Drive becomes Park Road. It's on a 4-year cycle. And can I manage to shift it out and be the priority 2 to a priority 1? No, right. There is, again, the other side of this is that the number of blocked and sunken potholes, and that has rocketed as well. And those teams are again working over. The next thing I've got down here is that from a personal point of view, I think it's the disruption from the roadworks which would cause most chaos. I ran a written question in order to get lots of data, maybe I should give it to Alice, on the claims I was looking particularly at the claims by the utility companies for permits. And I discovered that Southern, for example, made 3,000 emergency permit claims across the county. 3,000 last year, 2,000 the year before. Southern Water. Now that is so an emergency. You just rock up and take the road. There's no announcement. There's no diversionary route or anything. There are various things that came in. I'm not sure if the note runs on there, but I did want to make the point that. I mean, I think that there's sort of, if you like, abandoned works on pavements and things like that. And there is a lane rental system being brought in, but it only goes down the major roads. So, for example, if you now want to disrupt the traffic down on Crawley Down Road, you'll have to pay £2,500 per day per lane. Right, but that is recently brought in. That money will be collected and used for innovative things within the within the. So to me, if I was to say what the major problems, it is the utilities, and I was very pleased at the training session. I don't think it got the headline that it needed, but everyone agreed to at least work together to address that 3,000 figure, because that is just crazy. I am suggesting that replaces a maintenance program, because it just can't be true. You know, they are just not maintaining things adequately in order to need to dig up 3,000 emergency permits. I mean, if you think how many that is today, and we have that. Second point I was going to do was the major works programs, and you saw the way that came together. Just to give you a rough order of magnitude, you can work it out from figures in there. Full resurfacing as of London Road is about £250,000 a kilometre. My guess is it was £250,000 to the end of London Road, just to give that. The surface dressings that we've seen elsewhere are £40,000 per kilometre. So there's been a fair bit of that. Two types of it. The micro asphalt, I'm not sure that we've had any micro asphalt around here. We've had a lot of that in Crawley Down, and it is a real pain. It covers all the white lines. They don't seem to come back and do the white lines, and it raises above the ironworks, with the result that you have to then, the ironworks get actually covered over and a small hole punched in it, and guess what happens next? Lots of letters from emails from people who are, you know, complaining that it never flooded before, and it is now. Heathcote Drive, my picture is it was assessed last year. It's in design this year, and it will be delivered next year for a full resurfacing activity, the full length. That is what is shown, and I keep pressing, and I'm getting the answer is yes. It makes its way towards the budget. I saw today that that's this year's budget, which was 49 million. So it's £70 million delivery budget for the whole of the West Sussex activities, right, with 49 million pound coming out of the revenue budget. Traffic regulation orders, you know, and community highway schemes. At the moment, I have one scheme running at the end of Park Road, in Park Road between Maypole Road and what's the one that curves around? Crescent's a good word, isn't it? I should have thought of that. Crescent. I'm trying to think of what do you call the road that curves? Crescent. What I would say about this is that the resident contacted me. I don't think it came past this council. I think it escaped that, which is a little bit interesting. But the resident contacted me. It was interesting that Halstead Park does not have school walking routes. And I think that's something which schools should be encouraged to do. I know it's difficult as their academy, but you know, so that. But what the resident wanted is not what is going to happen. The resident wanted the desire line for anybody who is rushing is to go across the western corner, and effectively that is going to be made very difficult by the introduction of cobbles and things like that, to mean that you can't take a pram over it. And going across Crescent Road and going up on the western side is going to become much more formalised, and that work will go on in January, I am told. It's scheduled, so it's quite interesting that you lose control of it once it goes into the highways. They do something called a space assessment, which is safety, people, access, cost and environment. And of course, it's a good idea if you've got S106 available so that they can cover the cost of it. Traffic regulation orders are less than £3,000. Basically, that's painting the road. We tried to get, a resident wanted just a small section of double yellow lines to help her exit in her drive. That got turned down. Perhaps it was, you know, so that I could see it helped the resident, and I thought, you know, sort of we'll see what happens with it, but I'm not surprised. But I would encourage the council to look at more community highway schemes, and in particular the 20 miles an hour. 20 miles an hour requires an area which could be cut down to 20 miles an hour. That unfortunately means that most of the through roads that you'd like to stop the speeding on, it becomes impossible. It's only the side roads which you can really say, well, we can control the speed sufficiently. But I would tend to think that that's worthwhile, given all the benefits which are shown of it. And I know Turners Hill Parish Council are currently proceeding with a 20 miles an hour through the village that they've managed to establish points where you can say that, and that is obviously a good thing to do, because people going down the hill naturally accelerate. And then other things that highways do is, of course, they break our hearts with their comments on the planning applications, and they provide advice that is clearly wrong when we attempt to make plans. So we've got two things there that I'll just pick up on. I seem to have lost 0.5 somewhere in this. No, I'll come back to that. I'm pleased to say, right, so the major one that I see at the moment is the 200 homes behind Crawley Down Road, which has come up several times. There's been a lot of debate about what mitigation measures might actually be required. And I'm pleased to say that so far highways have had 2 looks at this, and on both occasions the conclusion is that further information is requested before they will give it their blessing. So this is one of the things which I sent to you. I don't know if you've seen that. But they are requesting a stage 1 road safety audit and designer's response. I'm not quite sure what the designer's response are, but I'm surprised that there has not been a stage 1 road safety audit done for that. Additional testing of the Crawley Down Road and the A264 Copthorne Road and A22 Eastbourne Road, A22 London Road and A264 Copthorne Road junctions to include a without highways improvements 2028 scenario. And the final thing, which I find very surprising, is end with Imberhorn Farm scenario. Now that has to be a major change from what they've asked for previously in the way that they've asked for this to be done, where they've taken each one in isolation and allowed, if you like, the previous mitigations, which of course have not been enacted. So there's, I think, a very interesting change going forward there. I do not see that 200 making progress.
It's a planning discussion, this is public services, so.
But you can see what I'm saying about the way that the roads safety, the audits must be done.
Yeah, no, and that's the point you make there. So.
Yeah, okay. And in that case, the last point is it brings me back to the document, the West Sussex Transport Plan. The plan is very disappointing for the Mid Sussex area. And in particular for us, but it does have, in the medium term, it looks to do some A22 improvements and A264 corridor enhancement within that. And they just announced the setting up of a steering group, which will be composed of county councillors. So I don't know if Councillor DeBell has been invited to join that as well.
Councillor Bowser's on that group, isn't it?
They said it's going to be 7.
Right.
They said it was down to 7, and from Surrey and from that. But at least it puts control in the right area, and it confirms that the first stage is a review of past work, which is to be conducted and completed by December, and then stage 2 will then look at design and feasibility for what type of options might be feasible in the future, and good luck with that. And there was 6 things I identified which had no home within that. Cycleways, just to note that the West Sussex County Council Active Travel Fund is running projects. We have none in the north of Mid Sussex, and I think we should. To note that the LC WIP, I'm not aware of any work under the LC WIP, but it did have a fair amount of work on East Grinstead. The cycle routes within East Grinstead.
Yes.
Which I guess is St Margaret's Loop, is it?
No.
We've asked for St Margaret's Loop to be included, but it's not at this point.
Right, okay. Well, and the other thing is I discovered that finger posts are the responsibility of the parish and town councils.
Most of, not all
of. Most of, not all of, okay. And that describes my life.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for a very comprehensive report.
There's some interesting things in that, and obviously, as the study goes forward, I'll be reporting back.
It's very informative. Thank you very much.
Both good reports.
John,
no,
by the way.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Dunn.
Can I just add some of those things?
Sure.
First of all, thank you for your passion earlier in the year. I know it was just as I was coming into West Sussex County Council, but I found out a lot in a very quick time because I needed to before I got my backside kicked back in. And the whole country has suffered with this malaise with the roads, and we've had shortened funds. We've had to divert funds into it, as Ian knows. And the other problem we've recently had is not a problem, but it's a fact. The council tends to go on flipping holiday in August, a bit like the French, and trying to get hold of people that have done things. We've had some good things happen though. We've had Lingfield Road. There's been 3 trows done on there, and there's been some work done on the Blackwell Road during the holidays, which is brilliant because they've put in crossing points and things like that. There's also during the elections, it came to light that there's a road that could actually belong to a different council on the way out on the Lingfield Road, which Fraser brought to my attention. I went and saw the lady down there, and she's going to be applying for a trow for yellow lines to be put on the corner of their road, which may or may not belong to West Sussex. It might belong to the council, but Adam, bless him, he explained to me how you apply for a trow, and he says the fact is that if you apply for a trow, it's a bit like playing Russian roulette. You don't know whether it's going to come to the top of the list or not. But at least good things are happening. But do keep on looking for potholes because it's going to get worse as winter comes along. And there's also a number of problems which are brought to light. One of the things that I can't remember if it was Ian just said it or whether it was Rex, but when they've gone and done things to roads, the one going out of Tunbridge Wells near where Margaret was, for instance, they covered up the white lines. It makes it a bit more dangerous, so you have to chase after them as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of work going on roads at the moment.
From 3 months ago, it was pretty dire.
But it could get worse again. It could be
great progress in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Great report tonight from
yeah.
But we've got to try and keep that progress.
Keep on the ball.
Jetpacks was fantastic.
It's good stuff.
And we saw it in action in Eco Drive. You know, so it was a really great piece of kit.
But you wanted to do the whole thing. That's what it needs. So I mean, you know, sort of. Yeah. And yeah, okay. I think it did the wrong part of Eco Drive as well.
Yeah, but we I don't want to get specific.
No.
We met Adam and his team and the contractor team. The briefing document said, you know, West Sussex are now much more organised than they were on highways with the teams.
The jetpack has been a big plus.
And the structure. So, but we still need from now.
Keep an eye on it.
Adam to liaise with Judy. That's the key communication.
Yeah.
For updates, you know.
And I keep on his back as well.
So unless Councillor Owen, briefly, because we
very, very quickly, yeah, just in response.
Subject,
no, absolutely, no, thank you very much, sorry, Chair, I really appreciate it. Just very quickly, just to say about those 20 miles an hour, which has been mentioned twice already tonight.
Yeah.
The committee, the Environment and Sustainable Travel Committee that's part of this council, that's on the list of things to introducing.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you for your contribution again, Councillor Gibbs, fantastic, and can I just ask councillors to note all of those reports. Thank you to keep up the progress. Okay, moving on to agenda item 11. It's just within the bank situation, which we all sort of know. It's a bit of a sad tale, really, sign of the times. So it's a question of we having a discussion on this. We know that two major banks are closed. They seem to be closing more nationally generally. So really, you've seen the recommendations below. So all I want to say is, do committee want us to make representations to the banks to say what their plans are? You probably know what the answers will be, or just monitor the situation.
I
I'm
think
open to.
there's only Barclays are very quietly closed. And I will tell you this, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I spoke to Katie Bourne because she didn't tell us that we could have a central police station as a start, perhaps getting more police
We've already
officers.
got one.
And she says, let me know when that comes up for sale. And,
I don't want to get into that.
No, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But I thought I'd bring that along tonight.
So do committee want to follow the recommendations? If so, I'll table them, or do we just want to monitor kind of
Absolutely.
and track the situation? Is that what follow?
For
do-
the recommendations.
For the recommendations, right. I will then propose all the recommendations 1 and 2, so that we make representations to the banks and also the ATMs. Can I have a second for
I will second
Thank
that,
you.
Chair.
that? Any questions on that, or? And can I take that to the vote? All those in favour? Thank you. So it's just a letter. I guess, just to get the right. Thank you. Agenda item 12, Gatwick. Now, really, this is really just a statement of the situation. Do not want a discussion on Gatwick this evening because we've already had quite a long meeting on other areas. However, things are moving on. Obviously, it's the development consent order's been accepted. It's going to public inquiry almost certainly next year. A lot more information will be made available. The District Council, Mid Sussex District Council, are leading they've got a retained aviation specialist consultant. Unless Councillor Gibson, with your Mid Sussex hat on in this chamber, you'd like to add anything, then we will stay very, very closely aligned. But the District Council are leading on it.
And there's a presentation to councillors on the
District
20th.
councillors.
District council on the 20th, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I mean, that could be extended to towns and parishes, I think, if they wanted.
I think that would be, because I'm sometimes with the district, it's P&C's district only, which I find very frustrating. So this committee would like that presentation to be made available to the town clerk and to councillors, if possible. Yes. If we can just say that.
Robert Higgs.
Gatwick is it's a Marmite subject, a lot of people for it, a lot of people against it. It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
This town council has not taken a position yet so far on having a formal position on Gatwick. We've done lots of consultations, lots of responses, attended lots of meetings, and will continue to do so. So unless councillors have got any particular comments they want to make, I think, thank you, Councillor Gibson, if we could get an insight of that presentation, that would be great. Very useful, because I understand that the specific aviation consultant is highly regarded and has done a lot of work, for the district council over quite a few years now, not just recently. So quite a few years.
Would you like me to make a request of the appropriate cabinet member for that?
I think, given
Leave it with me, right? I mean, the leader is put the lead on it.
Okay.
Councillor Gibson, being a cabinet member himself, he's on this committee very
Just
kindly.
be careful how I word that then, that's fine.
So I wouldn't make it.
No.
Yes.
Thank you, if you can do that, that'd be fantastic, Councillor Gibson. If you can't, we will write, I think.
That's
All
all
right.
right.
We have every faith in yours.
Can I just ask on that? I mean, over the years, I've attended many presentations by Gatwick in order to prepare us for this, and I've visited the airport twice. Has everybody actually done the tour? Because I think if they haven't, that would be well
It's
worthwhile.
been offered to this committee before, but obviously not the committee that's been in place since May. So
Yeah.
I will contact Gatwick and find out when they're doing
I
some more
think
dates.
that would be very good. So
Yeah,
Just
spend-
let us know,
spend a
and
morning
then I
there,
send it
yeah.
out and say, do you want to go? But
Robert Eggleston's taken the lead on that, the leader of the council.
Yeah, I think this is just a tour. Do you know?
This is just a sort of
behind the scenes at Gatwick, which is organised by Gatwick.
He's taking on basically, it's a defence plan against them doing Gatwick, because we
Yeah.
as a council
This
does
is more about a visit, I think.
So what we're talking about is the behind the scenes, Have you been? I don't think you have. You can do a behind the scenes Gatwick tour, which Gatwick organise.
Oh, so,
And it's really interesting, and several members of the committee have been in the past, but I'm not quite sure if any of you have been actually.
I'd love to go.
So, yeah, I'll go see if we can get sorted for you. I've done it, it's really good, really interesting.
Can I just say, please, Mr. Chairman, my personal view is that first of all, it was Heathrow or Gatwick. And then when Heathrow won it, the Spanish I think they are, management company of Gatwick said, oh, we didn't expect that, we want Gatwick as well. And I was woken up this morning by a 5 o'clock aircraft going in on flying. And the fact is that they said that there was to be no flying between, I think it's 10:30 at night, 10 o'clock perhaps, yeah, and 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. And they're breaking that rule now. And personally, I'm opposed to it. And I think that most members of the council are too. There you go.
Well, we can't call that, and you know, that's your personal opinion. So, but what I'm saying is, this town council so far
Yeah.
has not got an opinion, but you know, that'll be for another day, not this evening, because it could be 2 hours, another 2 hours. So, but you know, it's relevant, it's coming, but more information is coming out. District council are leading, but the more information that can be shared with all parishes and this parish would be fantastic. So, thank you for that. Okay,
Can I just query another point?
Yeah, of course.
Was whether or not this council is subscribes to the Cagney parishes group.
No, we don't.
You don't, right? Okay. Well,
I used to.
No, we've never,
Just have a representative.
no, the Cagney is different. We used to have a representative on GATCOM. And we then lost that representation. We are a member of GATT, which we pay a £10 fee for. And Mid Sussex have a representation on GATCOM now. And Cagney were a group that was set up probably about 6-7 years ago now. They do send us their reports, which just get circulated. But the decision back at the time, it came to this committee by that time, and the committee decided they did not wish to subscribe to Cagney.
There's two sides of Cagney. There is Cagney, the political pressure group, and there is Cagney, the parishes group, which is more about sharing information about the airport. And for example, Gatwick are allowed to fly at night. They have a
Not between
quota.
certain hours.
No. They have a quota that they can use at any time during the night, at any time during the summer. And it is a massively large number of flights. And one of the things which I think that they should do is reduce that, because what it is more to do with the business model of the airlines rather than anything else.
So
But that's
I
by the way.
think I was about to say our next meeting is on the 30th, so we'll have a fuller debate about Gatwick up the agenda. I think because we'll have more information then.
Well done.
We'll have more
yeah,
dates, okay, and then the whole thing will start to crystallise, and we can all have.
Absolutely, for the sake of our residents here in East
No,
Grinstead. Absolutely.
Of course, but there's a huge amount of documentation now, so it will come out from the Okay, so thank you again, Town Clerk, for the reports and the work there. So committee, if you could note that, please. Last item is consultations in the period where it's the Network Rail ticket office closure consultation. So again, I think our consultation group has prepared that with you coordinating. Thank you for that. Really, it's just a report, just for noting. And you know, we know we see the situation. Hopefully, we'll still have some ticket office hours, but because it's important. So for noting, thank you. And then it just remains to say that thank you very much for your attendance this evening. Next meeting is Thursday, the 30th of November. Again, really good meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you to the members of the public again. Thank you, Town Clerk, for all your reports. Excellent. Closing this meeting at 8:24. 3 minutes slow.
Tracy, we had something to do with the family. We wouldn't have let you down at the last minute.
Yeah. Something's not been helpful.
You had to work this out.
It all